Welcome back to Eye on the Money, and today on the show we're talking about how you can take advantage of the 52-week saving challenge to achieve your financial goals. And with me on the show today is Felista Wangari, personal finance and finance literacy champion. Now, Felista, before we took a break, you were just explaining to us that even as you embark on the 52-week saving challenge, the goal somehow has to be at the back of your mind. Which brings me to the question of, when it comes to savings, people embark on it for different reasons, right? The people who are trying to save for one thing, one time, and then be done with it. For example, I could be saving for a trip. I could be saving for an investment. I could be saving for really anything. My question is, when it comes to, and people even embark on different ways of saving to achieve different goals. So when it comes to the 52-week saving challenge, what should be the motivation? What should be the goal? Should I be saving for, an investment? Should I be saving for my dream home? Should I be saving for travel? How does it work?
Okay, so how it works is you begin by thinking of your values because what I value may not be valuable to the next person. What is important to me and meaningful to me may not be meaningful to the next person. So I may value owning a home, and there's someone who doesn't think, that's important. So you have to think in terms of starting with the basic feeling of your life, like what is very important to me, what do I find meaningful, what is so valuable to me, and then now, once you think of your values, it will be easier to make decisions, because if you value, say, spending more time with your children, then you'll probably be thinking of my job takes too much time and I don't earn much money from it and I'm not able to spend time with my children. So what can I start to do? Like, can I start to save to start a business, or start to save to start building my passive investments, which give me passive income? So when you start with that sense of what is valuable, then it's easier to make that decision without being swayed by other people's goals, which may not be valuable. Because someone will say, I want to buy a car, and everyone will tell you, why should you buy a car and you don't have a house? That kind of discussion. And yet to this person, the car is important. Maybe they need it to, do their business errands and to, get business going, or for whatever reason. So for you, the car may not be important, but to this person, it's more important. To you, a piece of land may be more important, but the car person will tell you, will your plot carry you to wherever you need to go? So everyone has different values. So I can't say it's a one size fit all. So everyone has to think, what is important for me? What do I value? And then use that. And it could be something as abstract as I said, as I just want to spend more time with my children. So what's the financial angle to that? What do I need to save for? What do I need to invest for? Because if you have children, then you're thinking of, I want them to go to the best colleges. So how will I make that possible in 20 years or in 15 years? What do I need to invest in? What do I need to save for? What do I need to protect in terms of insurance? So when you start with your values, then it's easier to make goals. And to be consistent with your goals without someone coming to tell you, don't do that goal. This one, my goal is better than your goal. It's not.
So bottom line is, just figure out what your priorities and needs are, and that's what you should focus on. Now, earlier on in the show, Felista, we both agreed that when it comes to saving, it's really not the easiest thing in the world. It's actually a challenge. So the 52-week challenge, and I like that it's called a challenge, much as we're talking about savings. And you also mentioned it's usually first-timers who would like to take advantage of this because of the small figures that you need to build up, and it's a real practical, easy guide to follow. As I'm sitting over here, it's January, I'm planning on jumping onto this bandwagon. My question is, So my question is, what are some of the challenges, practically speaking, and you know you've dealt with people who've done this challenge, that I should anticipate, and how do I brace myself for them so that halfway there, yeah, even as things come hitting me from every direction, some of those unseen miscellaneous things, I don't jump off halfway. What are some of the challenges I should anticipate, and how do I plan to deal with those?
Okay, so the first challenge is that it's going to get harder.
Right.
As the weeks, progress. So you're likely going to feel like I want to drop out at some point. So to mitigate that, then it's best to do a uniform amount, either every week or every month. Then it's easier for you that way, because then it doesn't get too hard for you as you go along. Then the other thing is consistency, or discipline, as people call it. Many people find that they lack that consistency. At some point, they want to drop out. At some point, they've forgotten. At some point, there are so many other things coming, needing money. So to deal with that, first, it's best to automate your savings if you can. That means setting up a standing order with your bank from your salary account to your savings account, or talking to your employer if you're employed, and at payroll, you can have the deductions done and transferred to a savings account. So those are some of the ways that you can automate your savings, such that you don't have to think about it. You don't have to say, will I save this month or won't I save? It happens without you having to debate with yourself, and then you live on what is left. The same way the taxes are deducted and you have no control over that. Another way is the accountability mechanisms. Get into a group of people who are leading you in the right direction, because when you feel like dropping off, they're going to encourage you to keep going. Don't drop off. Let's keep pushing forward. But if you're doing it alone, then you're like, oh, let me drop off. This thing is impossible. Another challenge that we touched on is emergencies. So there are going to be all these competing things happening, needing your money. Your relatives want money. Your friends need money. And, there are all these competing expenses. So to deal with emergencies, again, start to build an emergency fund. You can even have that as your major goal, that you're going to have some money that you can tap into during emergencies, such that when you're saving for other things, then it doesn't affect your other savings. Yeah, but make sure it is a real emergency. Yes.
So is it then necessary, even as we speak about the aspect of accountability and making sure, you have someone who makes sure you don't drop off, is it necessary to enlist the help of an expert, even as a starter? Like, can I go at it all the way on my own, minus that moral support from, my friend? Or would you advise, if I'm starting out for the first time, I enlist the help of an expert? And what sort of benefits will they bring on board if I decide to take that route?
Okay. So you can do it by yourself if you're able to. Like, say you've automated your finances and everything else is okay. You don't really struggle with your budget or, making your money fit into your expenses, then you'll easily get through to the end without, much of a struggle. But if you have other competing problems, other problems that are interfering with your savings, say you're an impulse buyer, your expenses are more than your income, there are so many people depending on you, those kinds of things. So they end up, sabotaging your savings. So in that case, then you would need to work with a professional who will guide you on what you can do about these other things that are interfering with your ability to save. Yeah.
So finally, Felista, just to wrap it up, and if you were to give like your final word, would you advocate for the 52-week saving challenge? And what are, like, real quick, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 real useful tips you'd give our audience back home as a take home?
Okay, so yes, I do advocate for the 52-week savings challenge, because I have seen what it has done for people. and people who thought it's impossible to save, they've tried before, it never worked, this thing is impossible. Right. So I've seen people actually go very big. And some of the tips I would give is start small. That's why you can start with 50, start with 10 shillings. So start small, don't feel pressure to start big, start small, and you get more motivated as you go, as you notice, oh wow, I'm actually doing this. So you get more motivated. So start small and start where you are.
Right.
Don't feel like there's pressure to do what Felista or Ingrid is doing. So start with what you have, start where you are. Be realistic about what you can do. Don't say, I want to save $1 million this year, and you've never even saved 10,000.
Right.
So just be realistic with yourself. You'll get to $1 million, but for that first time, you know, challenge you, exactly. Just do the baby steps, challenge yourself to get to the 10,000 and grow after that. Automate your savings if possible, because then you don't have to struggle to think whether you're going to save or not. It happens, and it gets one decision off your mind, and it makes it more likely that you're going to succeed in your efforts. Have an emergency fund, again, makes it more likely that you will succeed, because then you don't have to keep dipping into your other savings to deal with emergencies. And lastly, do it with others. It really helps. So a lot of the people who take it for the first time, when they get other people to do it with them, they find that they become more motivated also to keep going, because you know, you now become a model for others.
Right.
So you feel that, you know, okay, I am a model for these people, let me push along with it. So it helps you, and it helps these other people as you push each other along. So try to do it with others if you can, and seek help for any challenge that is interfering with your ability to save. Yeah.
Felista, thank you so much for making time to join us on the show. It's been such a pleasure. And what better time to talk about the 52-week saving challenge than right now in January, when the year is just getting started. Personally, I'm so ready to put, I hadn't yet started, I was waiting for you to come on the show. I'm so ready to put that first 500 away for this month. And I hope our audience has picked up really useful tips. Unfortunately, we've come to the tail end of the show. However, you can still be a part of the conversation by sending your feedback to our social media pages on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, Metropole TV KE across the board. That's all we had today. Don't go anywhere. We have so much more programming coming your way.